Hi, my name is Simon and I am a PhD student at the Applied Ecology Department at North Carolina State University. Many parasites and pathogens that attack bees live in the guts and are released to the environment in the poop. If the poop falls on a flower, another bee can come in contact with that contaminated flower and get infected. For the last 2 years, I have been interested in understanding the factors that affect transmission of bee parasites on flowers. I'm especially interested in a gut parasite that attacked bumblebees called Critidia bombi. I wondered, since bumblebees interact with so many different kinds of flowers, does the shape of the flower affect the transmission of the parasite? I wanted to answer 3 main questions. How often is bee poop falling on flowers? For how long can the parasite survive on the flowers? And are some types of flowers more likely to transmit the parasite? For the first question, we prepare a water-sugar mix that contains a fluorescent dye that will glow under black light, and therefore the poop will glow too. After feeding bees with the fluorescent solution, we put them in a small cage with flowers and let them forage and poop for 3 hours. We repeated these trials several times with 7 plant species. Then we removed the bees and took the cage and the plants to a dark room and used a black light to count poop droplets on different parts of the plant. Turns out that for all plant species we tested, most of the poop was actually on the floor of the cage or on the leaves, but we did find some poop on the flowers. So now we know that some poop fall on flowers, but for how long can the parasite actually survive on the flowers? We prepared a solution with a known amount of parasite cells and placed 1 drop on top of the flower. We regularly check how many parasite cells were alive, and we found that parasites can survive up to 3 hours on flowers, but they die faster on flowers that are flat and exposed, like this coneflower, as sunlight can kill the parasite, while flowers with complex shapes, like this snapdragon, keep the parasite alive longer. So far, we know that some poop fall on flowers, and that the parasite can survive up to 3 hours on them, which is plenty of time for another bee to come in contact with the parasite. So my final question was, are bees more likely to get infected on certain types of flowers? We set up cages with flowers and added a small drop of water that contained parasite cells. We released some uninfected bees in the cage, and after a bee visited a flower, we caught the bee and kept it in the lab for a week. That is the time the parasite needs to develop and reproduce in the bee gut. Later, we dissected the bee and looked at the sample under the microscope to check if the bee was infected and how bad the infection was. We tested 5 different plant species and found that Black-Eye Susan and Lantana had the higher transmission rates, about 20%. For other plants, it was around 2 to 5%. In summary, we found that when bees poop, it can fall on flowers, and the shape of the flower can affect how long the parasite will survive on them, and the transmission rate to other bees. We are still analyzing this data, but this information can be used to select flowers that have a low transmission rate to be used in gardens and pollinator habitat. In that way, we can provide resources for bees and at the same time decrease the risk of pathogen transmission.